Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you for clicking this video. In today's video, we are talking about your career based on your natal chart. And by the end of this video, you'll know how to specifically pinpoint a career that is best suited to you. Now, this video is really exciting because it's the first of a mini career series I'm doing on my channel where I talk about career and astrology. So you guys don't want to miss it, so make sure you subscribe to my channel now so we can get through this series together. When it comes to choosing a career for yourself, luckily you have a birth chart to look at. You have your natal chart where it shows you specifically what you can be suited to based on your chart. Now in this video, we're specifically talking about the 10th house, which is directly linked to career in astrology. It is the career house in your natal chart, the 10th house. And when it comes to your 10th house sign, you can determine your career based on your chart. But something that I truly believe is so relevant and so useful when it comes to astrology and choosing a career is that not only can you choose a career for yourself based on your birth chart, but you can also see what you're passionate about. And I believe that doing something you're passionate about, doing something you love, will bring you success if you do it professionally. And I feel like for a lot of you guys and a lot of people in general, their goal is to make their passion their career. And so if you wanted to incorporate your passion at all into your career or see what your passion is, you can look at your 5th house sign first. Usually with career videos or career astrology, most people would recommend looking at your 10th house sign only, but your 5th house is relevant for choosing something you actually like doing. And luckily I just posted a video about your personal passion based on your 5th house energy. So if you're still curious about that and you want to see what specific passion you might have based on your chart, I'll link that down below. But right now, let's get into this 10th house energy and see how it might manifest in your personal career life. And with the 10th house energy, of course, you can look at the zodiac sign that rules your 10th house. That is a general vibe of what your career could be. You can look at the zodiac sign of your midheaven, and I also have a midheaven series on my channel. I'll link down below. But when it comes to the sign, it doesn't get too specific. So how can we see your job, your career that's best suited to you in a more specific way, more specific than just looking at the 10th house sign? And that is to look at your 10th house ruler. So your 10th house ruler is the planet that rules the zodiac sign of your 10th house. And right now I'll put on the screen a little chart of the rulerships. I like to look at the traditional rulerships. So let's say you had a Scorpio 10th house, then Mars rules your 10th house. And so when you take into consideration that planet that rules the 10th house, you want to see what house that planet is sitting in. And that's going to give you a really specific look on what arena your career might manifest itself into, more specifically than looking at the sign. And depending on what house you have this planet in, your 10th house ruling planet in your chart, this will show you what you might do for a living and what your career might manifest itself into. So that being said, when it comes to your 10th house ruler, your planet that rules your 10th house, if you have it sitting in your 1st house, for example, you can be someone who has a career that is self-starting, a career where you are an entrepreneur, for example. Maybe you start your own business. This is the energy of you starting something by yourself in an independent way. And you can also do a career or find yourself in a career where you're the face of something. Maybe you're the brand ambassador of something. This can manifest even as simply as being a receptionist, for example, because you're sort of like that first person, that first face people see when they enter a business. So being the face of something, being an entrepreneur, being a business owner is relevant with this placement. And lastly, you can be someone who does something with their physical body. The 1st house does deal with your physical constitution, and so you can do something with your body, like be a fitness coach, somebody who is a model even, for example, maybe a trainer, something along those lines where you do use your physical presence to promote yourself in your career, to be someone who makes money within their career. You're somebody who can use your physical body, your physical presence to work in your career. If your 10th house ruler, meaning the planet that rules the zodiac sign of your 10th house, is sitting in your 2nd house, this means that you might find a career in the finance industry. You can be someone who also might find a career dealing with assets, dealing with investments. It doesn't have to be literally finance or literally money, but on some shape or form dealing with anything related to investing things, property management, asset protection, asset management, that could be relevant for you. And using your voice in some way can be strong with this placement. So you use your voice to speak for your career. You're a public speaker, somebody who is like a teacher, for example, where you have to use your voice a lot. This can be relevant with second house energy. And also with second house energy, you can be someone who even works in the dental field. Maybe you work as a dentist, work on people's mouths. That can be relevant with this placement as well. And if you have your 10th house ruler in the 3rd house, meaning the planet that rules your zodiac sign of your 10th house is sitting in your 3rd house, this means that you might have a career in the media industry. You can have a career specifically in modern times in the social media industry. You can be someone who is a writer, for example, someone in sales, even in marketing or advertisement. Those are the key themes there with the 3rd house. You can also be someone who travels a lot for their job on a regular basis. Maybe you drive things around or you drive a car for a living. There's that theme of driving really strong with the 3rd house as well. And if your 10th house ruler is in the 4th house, meaning the planet that rules your 10th house is sitting in your 4th house, this means that you might have a career in the home industry. You can work as a real estate agent, work in real estate in general, work as an investor, and even work as someone who decorates homes, works with homes, gardens, things like that. Home goods is a strong theme here. Other than that, though, you can work in an industry that might be related to families or your own personal family. Like you work at your family's restaurant, for example, you work at your family's business. And another relevant theme I would say that is seen with 4th house energy is working in the hospitality field. So working at like a hotel, having a hotel business, for example, even working in an industry that helps other people like nursing or something like that. Hospitality is strong as well with your 10th ruler sitting in your 4th house. If your 10th house ruler is in your 5th house, meaning the planet that rules your 10th house is in your 5th house, this means that you might have a career in the entertainment industry. You can find yourself in a career that is related to glamour or the movie industry where you are on screen. Maybe you're an actor. You can be someone who's a screenwriter, for example. You write scripts. There's a lot of avenues there, but the entertainment industry is strong with this placement. And you can also be someone who's just generally like the authority of something. You can have a job where it's like you're well known in that field. You're somebody who's the authority of something, the expert of something. This can link to the teaching industry, so education can be also a theme here too, with your 10th ruler in the 5th. And children, so working with children can also be a theme. Working even as an author, like a child's book author, working with children directly. Maybe you're a school teacher or you help children in some way through like a charity, a foundation. But children is strong with this placement of your 10th ruler in the 5th, and also the entertainment industry can be strong with this placement, and I would say education is strong with this placement as well. If your 10th house ruler is in the 6th house, meaning the planet that rules your 10th house is sitting in your 6th house, this means that you might have a career that is related to service. And directly in a more specific way, this can manifest as a career in the health industry, in the medical field, even as a doctor, as a nurse, as a healer. It can be a holistic healer as well. It doesn't have to be traditional healing, but doing something that serves other people, helps other people, heals other people is strong. Nutrition can be a theme here too, so like a dietitian, someone who works with improving people's diets. You can be like a personal trainer, but the list goes on when it comes to careers, but specifically the health industry, service industry, medical industry is strong, and also the legal field as well. So you can be someone who works in litigation as a lawyer, working in the legal field, strong with 6th house energy. And another strong one is pets. So working with animals can also be a theme with your 10th house ruler in the 6th house. If you have your 10th house ruler sitting in the 7th house, specifically the planet that rules your 10th house zodiac sign sitting in the 7th house of your chart, this means that you might have a career that is related to commerce, related to business, related to exchange. You can be someone who has their own online shop, for example. You can be involved in sales or be a salesman. And anything where you're exchanging things on a regular basis through sales, through commerce, is really strong with 7th house energy. If we can get the picture in our minds, the 7th house does deal with the marketplace. So you can work in a marketplace, or a marketplace like business or industry is suited for you. And another key theme with 7th house energy linked to your 10th house is working in the PR field or PR industry, working with other people to improve their reputations, for example, working as someone who's like a publicist, something along those lines, where you work with people's images, improve people's images. Public relations is really strong with 7th house energy. And the other major avenue with your 10th ruler in the 7th, as we can see in a lot of people's charts, is working in the legal field. So working as a lawyer, working in litigation, working as someone who is just involved in law on some level. You can find yourself in that career. And in general, I would say your career takes on this theme or structure of consulting. Being a consultant, working with people one-on-one, working with the public directly. There's really that strong theme there of working one-on-one or working with the public in your career. If your 10th house ruler is sitting in your 8th house, meaning the planet that rules your 10th house sign is sitting in your 8th house of your natal chart, this means that you might have a career related to the occult, related to spirituality. You could be someone who is interested in magic or spells, or working in that field professionally, or doing that professionally. That is one strong avenue with this placement. And another major avenue with this placement in terms of career could be the insurance industry, working in an industry where you deal with other people's assets in a general sense, deal with other people's wealth, you manage people's estates, something like that, where you do manage people's money for them. And the most obvious one could be insurance with this placement. Another strong theme here could be psychology as well. That can be seen with the 8th house. And another main one I would say is working in an industry that involves spying or security. So working for a security company, working for a company that deals with security, or things where it relates back to surveillance. I think that's the key word with 8th house energy, is surveillance. So you can work in an industry that is related to that. If your 10th house ruler is sitting in your 9th house, meaning the planet that rules your 10th house zodiac sign is sitting in the 9th house of your natal chart, this means that you might have a career that is related to travel, related to anything foreign, really. So if you are in international affairs, and you could be someone who works with people that are from a different country than you. You can be someone who teaches a different language, and teaching is also really strong with this placement. So you can be a teacher, an educator, someone who works especially with language, linguistics, philosophy. Even religion is strong with this placement when it comes to teaching and being a leader within that field. If your 10th house ruling planet is sitting in your 10th house, this means that you might have a career that has to do with leadership. This is definitely the placement of someone who is an entrepreneur, someone who starts their own business. You're someone who can be suited to be an authority within your career, be a leader. And in a more literal sense, we can see this manifesting as a career in government, a career in politics, a career where you are seen, where you are a public figure. That can be strong for you with this placement of your 10th ruler in the 10th house. If your 10th house ruling planet is sitting in your 11th house, this means that you might find yourself in a career that is related to social networks. And literally in today's modern age, you can work in the social media industry. You can just work generally in an industry that does deal with organizations, that does deal with large groups of people. And you can specifically maybe even be a leader within this organization, a leader within this field. But overall, it does deal with this theme of social networking. It can also deal with finance as well, where you work in the financial industry, you work with money, maybe other people's money. And it can even relate to celebrities as well, or working in the entertainment industry, working in an industry where you do work with important people. You work with celebrities directly, you work with anyone powerful. So that can be also a strong theme with your 10th house planet in the 11th house. And if your 10th house ruling planet is sitting in your 12th house, this means that you might have a career that is related to service, and specifically service along the lines of charity, even philanthropy, any service you're doing that does help people that are in need. You can find yourself in that industry. And a good example of this would be like a social worker, for example, or someone that just works at a charity. Maybe you run a charity. And the 12th house energy can relate to foreign lands. So maybe you work in foreign lands, you work in foreign affairs. You can help people in different countries or places that are different from you. And you can also be someone who works in the medical field, the health industry, where you do help people through medicine, through healing. This can be spiritual as well, like spiritual type of healing, holistic healing. And you might find yourself in an industry where you work as a mental health professional, maybe you work as a nurse in a hospital, and you can even work in the prison industry as well with this placement. And that is generally what this 10th house ruler in your 12th can bring for you. And if you want more information about your career, I do have the Midheaven series linked down below on my channel, as well as a career astrology cheat sheet. So everything will be linked down below. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one.